CoPilot is everywhere, and nobody wants it. The slogan was, a PC you can talk to, but users are furious, and now no one is paying for it. Out of 450 million commercial 365 seats, those using paid CoPilot seats is just 3.3%. Now, it's not just users annoyed at Microsoft. Microsoft's market cap dropped $500 billion in a single week after they announced more AI spend. Yet there's something even worse about CoPilot. This might be Microsoft's biggest disaster in history. Over 96% of its own Microsoft 365 customer base still isn't paying for CoPilot, and what makes this even stranger is Microsoft's wild expectations for the software. This thing is everywhere. If you're on Windows 11, click the taskbar search button and you'll see it in the top right. So what is CoPilot actually for? That was the pitch, a PC you can talk to.
CoPilot.
Hey, CoPilot.
Hey, CoPilot. Show me how to sync my holiday lights to my music.
Let's walk through it together.
Basically, Microsoft's Do Stuff For Me assistant. It would find a Windows setting for you instead of digging through menus. Menus which Microsoft had made notoriously annoying, but I digress. The vision versus the reality. It was supposed to be the ultimate productivity layer. It could analyze data in Excel, create charts and formulas, generate a presentation deck in PowerPoint based on a Word doc, or summarize and reply in Outlook based on info in your 365 apps. But it wasn't just 365 apps. It was integrated into Windows itself. You could ask it to find your local files, summarize and compare them, even the ones in OneDrive. It wasn't just your day-to-day tasks either. A huge part of AI use is programming. You could argue that building code is the biggest market for AI products, and Microsoft wanted in. They already own GitHub, which they bought in 2018, the largest code hosting and collaborating platform on Earth. So combine that with Copilot too. Microsoft rolled out GitHub Copilot. It's pretty much like other AI agents that work in your editor, except instead of GPT or Claude, it was branded Copilot. Overall, some of the things Microsoft said about Copilot sounded pretty good. Asking an agent to pull up files like a robust search function, or being able to cross between all kinds of files and Windows apps at once sounds pretty convenient, if it actually works. The new category of computing. Satya Nadella, Microsoft CEO, believed it would be much bigger. He said it would be essentially a new category of computing. He claimed this is as significant as the PC was to the 80s, the web in the 90s, mobile in the 2000s, cloud in the 2010s. Just like you boot up an operating system to access applications or use a browser to navigate websites, you will involve a Copilot to do all these activities and more. To be honest, Microsoft seemed to be going a bit crazy over Copilot. They pushed this thing everywhere. Microsoft rebranded the 365 app to Microsoft 365 Copilot. The logo also changed to feature Copilot's branding. They also incorporated it into Edge, into your taskbar, into all their apps, and even launched new Copilot Plus PCs with dedicated hardware keys. The billion-dollar burn. They had also spent a lot of money. Copilot is based on ChatGPT models with Microsoft tweaks, which they had spent over $13 billion on. Even Bill Gates warned against it, telling Nadella in 2019, "You're gonna burn this $1 billion." But Microsoft was just getting started. In 2023 and 2024, Microsoft had a projected $80 billion in AI infrastructure spending. By 2025, they were spending over $30 billion a quarter, most going towards GPUs and CPUs for AI. And Nadella was confident. Their goal was enterprise customers, giant businesses who would buy hundreds if not thousands of seats. Copilot was $30 per seat per month, and Microsoft has hundreds of millions of 365 seats. Just imagine the revenue if even half of them adopt Copilot. But Microsoft had to prove it was worth it, so they hired Forrester Consulting to conduct a study. They estimated businesses would see a return on investment between 137%. Copilot would also apparently improve efficiency by 613%, worth between $5 million to $9.6 million over 3 years. For small to medium businesses, Forrester projected a 6% increase in revenue and 25% faster new hire onboarding. Program failure. Sounds great if it actually works. So did it? At first it looked like good news. 94% of organizations using Microsoft 365 Copilot reported some benefits, and 70% of Fortune 500 companies have adopted 365 Copilot. Also great, but there was a huge problem for Microsoft specifically. Only 6% completed an enterprise-wide rollout, and 72% were still in pilot or limited deployments. Not good. The metrics for return on investment were also underwhelming in real-world scenarios. Those Fortune 500 companies were mostly just using pilots, aka the limited trial rollout to a small group to see if the tech was actually viable. For the vast majority, the answer was a resounding no. Negative productivity. After Microsoft pushed it so aggressively, many people did give it a go, but results were mixed. Soon complaints, comments, and angry reviews began to pour into support sites. One user noted, "Give me a list of all the files I have opened today, showing the file line, time it was accessed, and file size. Not only will it not place the content into my open Word doc, but it can't even get the contents of the file correct. It starts listing a useless list of files literally opened years ago. CoPilot has been a negative productivity boost. Another user shared, I find it very frustrating that CoPilot won't do anything to my documents. It just gives me complicated instructions on how to do it myself. For example, I asked it to change the font of all dates in my Word document from ordinary to bold. The reply told me how to do it, and it wasn't straightforward. Every time I've used CoPilot personally, it doesn't really do anything. It sort of sits there, and whenever I ask it to do something, it gives an excuse why it can't and tells me to do it. If you didn't like CoPilot, too bad. You couldn't get rid of it from OneNote, Excel, or PowerPoint, and in some cases, Windows itself. Users noted that literally no one asked for all this AI. In fact, everyone wants to know how to remove it. This is while Microsoft simultaneously makes Windows 11 more bloated. To date, Microsoft has committed massive capital into OpenAI, which is essentially the engine for CoPilot. But despite all this investment, CoPilot often feels like a worse, restricted version of ChatGPT. This has caused something ironic to happen. Microsoft's own users, and even its own employees, are just using ChatGPT instead. Grok just works. ChatGPT just works. Claude just works. CoPilot often feels like a dumpster fire. According to user data, ChatGPT rates 97% for ease of use and 93% for meeting requirements, while CoPilot scores 86%. To be honest, 86% is not bad in a vacuum, but in a competitive market, it's a failing grade. Microsoft's own employees are reportedly paying out of pocket for ChatGPT Plus instead of using the tool their own company built, forcing the issue. Since the enterprise adoption wasn't working, Microsoft decided to change tactics. Microsoft's metrics were falling way below the benchmark. Only 1 in 5 salespeople hit their AI sales targets, which caused Microsoft to lower the goals. For Business 365 customers, out of the 450 million seats, only 3% had paid for CoPilot seats. So Microsoft pivoted to another group, personal and family plans. Satya Nadella was going to get everyone to become CoPilot users, whether they liked it or not. In late 2024, Microsoft made changes to the personal and family 365 plans. These would now include Microsoft Copilot, except there was a twist. Microsoft was quietly moving people onto a higher price tier to include Copilot. The personal plan increased by 45% and the family plan by 29%. If you wanted the original cheaper plan, Microsoft wouldn't tell you. The classic version of 365 only appeared if you went through the cancel subscription path. This was so egregious that the Australian government sued Microsoft for pushing customers into higher priced plans, seeking penalties above $50 million AUD. The Microslop era. Speaking of which, this is likely why Microsoft discontinued Windows 10, notably early. The built-in Copilot outside of the browser is only available in Windows 11, and they wanted to force users into that ecosystem. Ironically, for a lot of people, the AI bloat became the biggest reason to stick with Windows 10. Users have given Microsoft a new name, Microslop. Someone even made a browser add-on that automatically changes the word Microsoft, Microslop. People are also calling Copilot Clippy 2.0, all the annoyance of the 90s assistant with none of the nostalgic charm. The final betrayal, Claude. But there's still one unanswered question. What about Copilot for GitHub? This might be the most ironic twist, because it seems not even Microsoft trusts Copilot to code. Microsoft recently asked thousands of its software engineers to work with both Claude Code and GitHub Copilot and report back on which one works better. These are staff responsible for Windows, Office, Teams, and Edge, who were all instructed to use a competitor's model. Microsoft also made a deal with Anthropic, so Microsoft Foundry customers can access Claude agents, Claude Sonnet 4.5 and Opus 4.1. But if Microsoft says Copilot is the future of coding, why are they pivoting to Claude? The reality is that Copilot is a stumbling block. It's a wrapper that has become too heavy and too restricted to be useful. The big moneymaker for Microsoft is Enterprise, those hundreds of millions of paid seats, and that's exactly where Copilot is falling short. Satya Nadella wanted it to be the next Windows. Instead, it might be the next Windows Vista.